Welcome to the Onyx Report's daily Black masculinist news feed. Hope you're well. Uh, Article for today: Man gives $4 million apartment complex to let homeless women and their children live for free. Wealth is not distributed equally between people around the world, and some just have a lot more than others. This does not mean that there aren't still people out there who are willing to give back, help the less fortunate, and do some good while on this earth. Rick Steves is among them, as he is a multimillionaire with a big heart who made a fortune out of his European travel guides and travel series. Steves donates an entire apartment complex to the YWCA to help homeless women and children start a new life and stay off the streets. The apartment complex is worth $4 million and can host up to 24 people who can all stay rent-free there. The complex was named Trinity Palace, and Steves bought it in 2015, but with the help of YWCA and Rotary Club, he managed to transform it into a safe space for women and children and offer them guidance. Most of the women living in the apartment complex are single mothers who struggle with everyday life, so having a place where they can rest and put their lives together is of great help. Steves hopes to inspire other multimillionaires to start giving back to their community and contribute to the reduction of the existing gaps between rich and poor. Right? This is interesting to me. I was just talking about this earlier, and we were looking at this whole question of chivalry and to what extent chivalry plays a role not only in our society, but in the socialization of men and women, boys and girls even, when we're kids. And basically what I was looking at are the ways that boys and men are geared to not expect anyone to come to their aid. Most don't. Most black men, and I don't generally like to depend on anecdotal stories, but in my daily reality, when I talk to black men, most don't expect help. Most don't expect the state. Most don't expect any private philanthropic organization. Hell, most don't expect an individual to help them. If for men, much of the time, getting help is like icing on the cake. It's not something you wake up in the morning expecting. But if it happens, it's cool. But I think the way girls and women have been socialized, it's a very different reality. I think in many ways they've come to expect help to come in some way, shape, or form, and so much so that they can actually divorce from reality the fact that it's often men or institutions led and constructed by men that are primarily providing the help. It's just assumed that help will come, and then somehow those men are erased from the story narrative later, and it just becomes about how people survived and developed and thrived on their own, right? So this story is an example of that. So here you have this wealthy white cat, Rick Steves, who comes along and decides to set up a free apartment complex in league with the YWCA. Now, statistically speaking, we know amongst the homeless, particularly the black homeless in many major cities, the overwhelming majority of them are black and male, right? So if it was strictly about helping the homeless, this would at least be a co-ed complex, right? At least. I've never heard of a complex actually targeted at black males, regardless of age, because there are many young black males who are on the streets and have no place to go before they hit adult age. But I've never ever heard of a complex dedicated to, actually helping homeless black males. But I see them all over the place, right? Especially if they've been incarcerated and nobody wants to rent to them, even if they have housing vouchers. And you don't have to be incarcerated you don't have to have been incarcerated for people to not want to rent to you, even with a housing voucher, but it tends to happen. Yet, nobody seems to care. Not even the state to any great extent. And even when you have individual philanthropists stepping forward, many of us as men in the West have been reared in a chivalrous code. Now, am I against this? No, it's not that at all. I'm not necessarily against it. What I'm saying to you is there's a way in which black males have been made to be absent from the public conscience, from the American imaginary. We're not a part of what people think about. And so when you have someone who's willing to help what did they say? What did Steves try to do? He said he hopes that he will inspire other multimillionaires to start giving back to their community and contribute to the reduction of the existing gaps between the rich and the poor. Notice how none of that conceptualized dealing with black males. So I'm, at the end of the day, I look at this kind of stuff and I just say, see, this is what I'm talking about. You have institutional and philanthropic chivalry playing a role here, and yet nobody calls it what it is, right? The newspapers newspapers, the news sites that put this forward don't call it chivalry. The multimillionaire Steves himself doesn't call it chivalry. Hell, none of the women even were benefiting from this consider it a form of chivalry. And nobody talks about how such services aren't provided to those who actually need it to a greater degree. But hey, it is what it is, right? Right.